So noting that it is 7:06 p.m. on June 17th, 2026, I will call the Board of Health meeting to order. And since this is a virtual meeting, the board members are going to announce their presence verbally. And we'll do that in alphabetical order. So Daryl Beardsley, present.
Steve Constantine, present.
Is anybody else here?
Rebecca, you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Scotiaporacle present.
Rebecca Honeywell, present. I couldn't figure out why it was muted. Sorry about that.
So before we proceed with the items that we have on the agenda, this is the opportunity to announce any items to be added as not reasonably anticipated by the chair 48 hours in advance of the meeting. So Sarah, is there anything that you are aware of?
Yes, I have one temporary food establishment application that came in Monday afternoon.
Okay. And then anybody else have anything that is of an urgent nature? Okay, then I have something to tentatively add, which is, and it's more of an administrative matter, so it's not exactly crucial that we add it to the agenda, but I think that we may as well vote. And that is to just go over board availability for the July and August meetings, because we only have one meeting each of those months, so I'd like to firm up.
Daryl, that's already under my business.
Oh, is it?
The Board of Health summer hours.
Oh, that was included under summer hours?
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry.
Okay, I didn't interpret it that way. I thought it meant office hours. All
Sorry.
right, then we just have the one item for the temporary food permit. For, who's it for?
For CNC ice cream.
CNC, okay. All right, do we have a motion to add this item to the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none. Daryl Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Aye.
Rebecca, you didn't come through clearly.
Honeywell, aye.
Nora Bose Scotiaporacle, aye. Sorry, I have to change one.
All right. Let's see, we have a variance hearing at 7:30, although that will be extraordinarily brief. Mark, I think we should probably, if there are people here for any of the agents' business.
Yes, actually, I believe we have the builder, and as well, I know the homeowners here, and the builder, I believe, is the other person who announced himself, but if I'm incorrect, iPhone 46, let me know, but I'm not for sure if you're the builder or one of the homeowners, but we do have two people here for 81 Hunting Lane.
Okay, so let's tackle that one. And I don't know, Mark, would you like to do a basic introduction, and we can go to the homeowners?
Sure. So we received a building application for renovating one of the rooms on the second floor. Can you hear me okay? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm coming through okay. And
Yes.
what it was is they wanted to turn one of the bedrooms into 2 bathrooms, and it came in as a building application. And with that, we had to check to see if the room that they wished to change was somewhere shown as part of the design flow. And unfortunately, the house, I believe it may have sold in 2013, because that's the Title V in 2014. The Title V inspection date was November 16, 2013. And that showed the house as having 2 cesspools. Back in 2013-14, we didn't have a requirement that cesspools had to be automatically upgraded, so, which we do now. That's why I'm mentioning that. But back to the request. The request as minor as it may seem, it still is allowing for the board to consider changing a room that has no design flow. It's quite a large house. I don't know, Sarah, if you want to show the amount of rooms. They have a second and third floor, so they have quite a few bedrooms there. And I basically told the homeowner that, you know, I can't make this decision because we're not sure if any of these rooms have an accurate design flow, because cesspools, when they were built just to put somewhere. They didn't do soil testing for soil suitability. So that's why we're here tonight, is to examine what needs to be done first before the building permit can be approved. So this is the first floor you're looking at. And Sarah, you did a nice job labeling and numbering the rooms. And on the first floor, we have 6 rooms total. The kitchen eating area is considered 1 room. We have the library, the living room. Sarah, can you put that back up? If not, don't worry, I got the plan here. It disappeared on the screen. Maybe it's my screen.
No, it's
I
gone.
don't see it either.
My
Yeah.
Adobe is not cooperating. I'm
There we
trying
go.
to
There we
fix
go.
it.
So there's the first floor. And if I may, before I go too far, to the owner and the person that's interested in this application, the basement shows several storage rooms. Are they finished at all?
Hi,
So
just to introduce myself, Warren Selstrom. I'm the homeowner of 81 Hunting. So the basement is not finished at all. It's just storage.
Okay.
And then the third floor, which I know you're going to get to, is also no heat or water up there.
Thank you for that. We did not know that, and we can talk about that as we go along. So in the first floor, I see 6 rooms total. You have the library, living room, dining room, bedroom. You have a bedroom down here as well. Excuse me. And you have the kitchen, breakfast area. I may count it as 1 area and call it 5 rooms. What was that? Oh, okay. If we want, we can go to the second floor. We do know that the basement is not finished, but there's several compartment rooms, but they're not finished. On the second floor, we have, let me make sure I have the second floor, not the third. Yeah, we have the, let's see, is that the, let me see.
That's
Yep,
the
this is-
second.
So we have the bedroom, 2 bedrooms, there we go. So we'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a sitting room is on its own, so that could be 6. And the office and the bedroom to the far right, that could be 7 and 8. So we do have quite a few bedrooms. And excuse me, the third floor is showing bedrooms, but as the owner just noted, these bedrooms are not finished, in a playroom. But you have quite a few rooms. I wouldn't want to have to clean this house. There's a lot of rooms there. But the issue is, even though as minor as changing a bedroom and having bathrooms put into one of the bedrooms on the second floor, the issue still is the room itself is a valid room based on the septic system. And basically right now, the septic system are 2 large cesspools. So I had trouble approving this, and I want to bring it to the board to see if you see it any differently. In my view, it looks like they would need to do an upgrade to the septic system before any major changes to the rooms occur. That's my review, but I brought it to the
And
board
Mark,
for your
I'm
discussion.
happy to add any, additional
Yeah,
things that we know about the house, if that would be appropriate.
that would be very helpful, Oren. So as we go along, if you want to add anything for what I just presented, you're welcome to it. If the chair is okay with that, I'm sure she is. And Darrell's our chair.
Yeah.
And if you have additional, you just recognize through the chair you would like to add more additional information, that would be fine.
Yes,
can
that
even
would be
Okay, I
physically
do
raise
have
your
another
hand.
question, yeah, for Mark
Yeah.
and Sarah. Are there any records about this home and what it's been perceived as over the years? Like how many rooms? Because this is
Yeah.
quite an extraordinary number of rooms in a home
it really
for
is.
Sherborn. So,
I agree, Darrell. I have the assessors records here, and I show
Okay.
back in this year, 2026, even though the assessors do things a little different, they show it as a 13-room, 6-bedroom house. And in 2018, they showed it that way. And let me see, in 2008, it showed it as 13 rooms, 6 bedrooms, so the same. And then there is a change in the year 1999, they showed it as 13 rooms, 8 bedrooms. So, and then there's one more assessor's record that shows it as, and that's from 1983, shows it as 5 bedrooms or more. So the assessor's records are, we use them as a general idea of what the house looked like through the years, but it appears over the past few years, it's been noted by the assessor as a 13-room, 6-bedroom house by the assessors.
So I have to say, I think we've usually looked at, say, the earliest recording of bedrooms. If there's no, septic upgrades in between, we try to get as close, I believe, to maybe when the house was built. Sounds like 1983 is earliest that we have, and then it has the nebulous 5+ rooms.
Yeah, correct. Yep. And then in go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, we just for Oren, we try to honor whatever the original intent was of the house. And
I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing. What was the question?
Oh, sorry. Let me see if I can adjust anything here. I'm not clear. Okay, well, so when we're trying to figure out what was the intent of the septic system, such as it may be, whenever it was put in, what was the house it was trying to match up to? How many rooms and how many bedrooms was it? Yeah. And then we apply various regulatory requirements around that. So that's why we're trying to figure out whether there may have been add-ons to this house over time or not. The records are not the best at the moment. We're just trying to ensure, and really cesspools are so marginal in terms of their treatment of sewage, and you may not be filling every bedroom, but we're supposed to accommodate what the house can accommodate, with the septic system.
I appreciate that.
And so that's our challenge, is trying to figure out.
I'm happy to give the history that I know, if that would help. It's
okay.
It's a house that was built in 1902. If people are familiar with, it's right at the corner of Hunting and Green. So it's the Lewis family house, originally built in 1902 as a summer home, as I understand it. And so that's the age of the house. There haven't been any additions or alterations that I'm aware of. It was, built as it was in 1902. As Mark said, we purchased the property in 2015, and that was based on the Title V report that was, I think, from 2013. It had been on the market for a couple of years. And that, the Title V obviously passed then, and it was noted as 8 bedrooms at that time, which is consistent. I think they were probably, overestimating, given that the assessor's reports have always been 6 bedrooms. We obviously don't use, more than 2 ourselves, but that's what the Title V was based on in 2013. So as Mark said, the proposal is actually to reduce the number of bedrooms. We're wanting to take one of the bedrooms that's on the second floor and, reduce that, turn that into, move the master bath into that, and then have a small kids' bathroom basically built at the same time.
Okay.
So the overall upshot would be reducing the number of bedrooms by 1 and increasing the number of bathrooms by 1.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I like the idea of reducing the number of bedrooms because, again, cesspools don't do much. and I'm going to mention this now because it may, I'm not sure where we're going to land exactly on this just yet, but we do have a regulation now that any homes that have a cesspool or cesspools need to be upgraded to a current standard septic system if the property is going to be sold or if the existing system is found to be in failure. So you had a passing Title V in the past, and that doesn't mean that it's appropriately sized or doing a great job of treatment. It just means that wastewater goes into it and seeps into the ground and doesn't back up into the house or bubble out onto the surface of the ground. So the Title V inspection is kind of covering the basics, or that there's no major cracks or faults within, the infrastructure of the system. But we bought a property that also had a cesspool that was built with rocks lining a pit, and we did replace that, but cracks were part of its design. So it's a complicated area. But anyway, I'm mentioning that because if you were ever going to sell this property, you would need to replace the system anyway. You could possibly enjoy greater safety of your groundwater drinking supply if you replaced it sooner than later. Again, there are a lot of factors in how you use the system that can influence its performance, but that's just something to keep in mind.
Thank you.
If you're going to have that expenditure one day anyway. So, okay. So Mark, do you have any other pieces of information? It sounds like the assessors, it's a little conflicting about so based on what you can see within the house, and I did see some photos online of the house, you mentioned that there haven't been additions or many changes. Does it feel like things are the original, there are no new subdivisions of prior larger rooms into more rooms, or?
No, the kitchen area from the floor plan that you see there that is now like one area. So there, that little L that you see sticking out there in the kitchen is no longer there. But otherwise, from all that I can see, the house is as it originally was, and there's certainly nothing that's been added on to it. The footprint is, just looks very original to the home in terms of, there's no add-ons. That little, piece that goes off on each floor is, as I understand it, is the maid's quarters. Basically, there's a back stairway that leads down, but there's no indication that there's been any additions or anything since it was built in 1902.
May I ask a
Okay.
clarifying question? Earlier, I know Mark had asked about the basement, so this floor here. None of this is finished, correct?
No, it's concrete. It's not, it's not dirt or anything. There's foundation, but it's not rooms. It's kind of framed like there's a boiler room, but it's not any place that anyone has ever lived.
And is the
lived.
third floor finished?
No, it's again, my understanding is it was used as a summer home, and so there were people that would come out from Boston in the summers, and so that those are look more like rooms, but they have not, as far as I know, been used as any kind of living space for, I don't know, since the 1950s or before. And there's, like I said, there's no heat up there and there's no running water.
Okay, so this washroom doesn't.
No.
No, okay. I was just, thank you.
What's that again?
I said thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Do any other board members have questions about this?
I just had a question about the cesspools. Do we know the age or I know we said Title V, but I think that was what, 2018?
2013, I believe, is when the inspection was conducted.
Yeah, on the Title V report, it talks about the age of the system, and it says, again, we're basing it on what the Title V inspector was informed of, and it said approximate age of all components, date installed, and source of information. It says 1971 per owner on a 2004 Title V report, but I doubt if these were put in 1971. They may have worked on them, but I don't believe a cesspool would have been put in 1971 without a septic tank.
Okay. And it's been 13 years since it's had a Title V.
Yes.
Just to ask, Orin, do you plan on getting another Title V for this, or just for peace of mind, or?
No, I mean, we're not planning on selling anytime soon. I think that that would, I think, be when that would most come up in our minds, as was mentioned. But that's, we love the house, we love the town, so we're planning on staying for the foreseeable future.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mark, do we know where the well is in relationship to these cesspools?
Let me see if it's shown, Daryl. I got the Title V report in front of me here. See if it's more than 100 feet, they won't show it, and it's more than 100 feet. So, Oren, can you help
Okay.
us with that? Do you know offhand where your well
Yes,
might be located?
it's uh, on that picture there where you see the sort of upside down V of the house.
Yeah.
It would be somewhere up around where column A is. It's sort of off to
Okay.
the,
Up where that letter
uh,
A is located. Okay.
yeah, I mean, maybe a little closer to the house than that, but that side of the house, basically, that's Green Lane that is sort of runs parallel to that side of
Yeah.
the house.
Okay.
And it's probably more than 100 feet because they have to show it if it's less than that. Excuse me.
So, all right. Any other questions before we start trying to figure out this very unusual circumstance?
Daryl, really quickly, it is 7:30 and we do have
Oh.
that scheduled hearing. I know that it's been
Yeah.
withdrawn, but
Yes. All right. So let's take care of that. So it'll just be a minute or two for us to do that. So before it officially turns 7:30, let me just ask, were all the green cards received? Even though it's somewhat of a moot point at the moment.
I believe so.
Okay. All right. It is now 7:30 and we have a variance hearing for, I have to pull up my copy of the agenda. We have a variance hearing for 41 Old Orchard Road for a septic replacement. However, we received word this afternoon that the owners, and unless they're here now and would like to speak up, okay, that the owners would like to withdraw their application for now and reconsider some alternative options for their septic replacement. So therefore, we will close the hearing and it will not be continued at a future date. We will, when they are ready with the new project, the process will begin again. Mark.
Yeah, you may want to take a
vote
vote
on that.
Yeah, I would suggest a vote, Daryl. And again, the applicant will need to show that they can test out of season with a failed Title V report. If not, they'll have to wait till November 1st when the soil test season opens, just as a side note to the process. But the board should vote the request for withdrawal, and the hearing will have to be rescheduled whenever that time comes.
Okay. Do we have a motion to grant the request for withdrawal of this variance hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Darrell Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Oh, you're choppy again, Rebecca.
Honeywell, aye.
Bose Kuchipurakal, aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, back to the Hunting Lane discussion. Where were we? Anyone remember?
It was
point you were
you were talking about, I think Steve asked a question on if they had a more recent Title V inspection. The owner said no, I believe, and I don't think there's an interest for it, but
Okay,
I'll let the owner speak for himself on that.
That's correct.
okay. So here are, I'll start with some of the issues for me. I like the idea of a bedroom being reduced because there are 9 bedrooms, so the most we've heard is 8 on some kind of record of some sort. That was on the Title V. There are only 6 noted on the assessor's records, and the 3rd floor is a little tricky. If it's truly unheated, but also uninsulated, and there's not heat rising up from below, that creates a conditioned space. Maybe not intentionally, but functionally, that starts to make those rooms be pretty challenging in terms of the bedroom count. So I'm inclined to think that this is at least a step in the right direction, but it really is such a marginal, outdated system that's over 100 years old, likely. So it's not providing the same standard of groundwater protection that other properties have been brought up to in town. So that makes it a little tricky. It is grandparented in if the system it had was appropriate for its day, but we don't really have a regulation to force the upgrade of this at the moment. Anyone else on the board like to comment?
Carol, I tend to agree with you. I think the improvement would be trying to consolidate the bedrooms. I know it's a lot of bedrooms, and even just looking at it on Zillow, it says there's only 6, but obviously there's more. And again, it's a lot of things are grandfathered in. The condition of the cesspools really isn't known. Given that the well is probably more than 100 feet away is a good thing. And I think, yeah, I don't really have a problem with it. I think the homeowner, the suggestion you made is that at some point when it's going to get sold, it'll have to have a septic, but they've got almost 5 acres, so I don't think that'll be a problem putting that in.
Mm-hmm. Any other board members, or Mark, if you have any evaluation that you'd like to share based on having overseen septic systems in town for decades?
This one's unique, Darrell. It really is. Obviously, the intent, as I started with the conversation, is to reduce the bedroom, which is nice to have, but we really don't know the bedroom count. But whatever happens tonight, I think if the board is in agreement with changing the bedroom into 2 bathrooms, that there be something noted on file that the house is served by cesspools, and any future additions or changes to rooms would require further Board of Health review.
Mhm. And maybe, so, part of me also says that in the absence of septic design, we have gone by the assessor's records. And, okay, so there was 5+ bedrooms noted in 1983. There was a more recent one that had 13 rooms and 8 bedrooms. But a lot of this, I guess, maybe the taxation is based on 6 bedrooms. It sounded like, so we're moving towards the more generous interpretation. If we consider 8, or if we consider the room labeled on the first floor as a bedroom, not a bedroom, not necessarily a bedroom. If that was an unlabeled room, we would not necessarily call it a bedroom on the first floor, but we would call the playroom and the office on the second floor bedrooms, and we are counting those as bedrooms at the moment. So there's a little bit of wiggle room there, and we're assuming that the third floor is unconditioned to the point where it is not habitable during all seasons. And as long as that's maintained, and maybe we need a deed recording to that effect. If we're going to be on the generous side in counting things as 7 to 8 bedrooms, assuming that the third floor is not involved at all, then I would probably argue for deed recording regarding no further finishing of either the basement space, third floor, no addition of heat or cooling up there, and no other expansion on the house or on the number of rooms. So any thoughts?
What point should we request to repeat the Title V? Or because we have this new regulation that says septic systems should be replaced, and we don't have a recent Title V to justify not following our regulation.
We don't usually require that.
I mean, the state trip, I don't know what it's probably very small, but usually the construction projects are what trip that threshold. And it's not because it's trying to be onerous. It's just as a way to force everyone to go to be held to standards that are in their interest. I'm just throwing it up. We are the Board of Health, to discussion.
Yeah.
Well, my thought is, Oren, do you have any indication that the system's not functioning as it's supposed to? Like, for example, the closest water draw would be your well. Have you tested your water in the recent past?
We did at the time of when we purchased it. I'm trying to think. I doubt we've tested since then. But in answer to your question, no. I mean, there's no indication of any issues whatsoever. So we're a family of 4, so we're obviously not using all the bedrooms, and then we're not that many people, and no, it's no indication of any problems whatsoever.
Right.
Right. You wouldn't really see the kinds of problems that result from cesspools unless they were clogged and backing up.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, the sewage goes in. It's not really having a time to digest in a septic tank where bacteria have, impact and breaking things down. That may not be happening. It'll just be leaking out through the sides of the cesspool into the ground a little more directly without as much breakdown, filtering by soils, treatment, that kind of thing. So and if you're using many chemicals in the house, that might be interrupted anyway. But if you are very careful about what you put in your septic system, or cesspools, then they may be performing somewhat okay, but unlikely they'd be quite as good as a more conventional septic system. But you can manage your risks by, again, caution in what you use. But chlorine bleach will wipe out the beneficial bacteria in a septic tank, that kind of thing.
Makes sense.
Washing paintbrushes out into the septic. So those would be tips for ways to keep it protecting your water supply. Not put much else down there. And does anyone have something they'd like to propose, or would you like me to make a stab at something, and then we'll all weigh in on that to see whether we want to pursue it?
Third thing is that because the third floor probably was, quarters for servants or whatever, the house is quite large, and the early 1900s, they probably had servants or somebody living up there in the summer, so the house wasn't winterized or whatever because it was a summer home. But it's hard to know just the public health impacts. I mean, it's more for his benefit. I mean, not than a risk to the neighbors. It's more for your own benefit, especially if you're going to be there for a long time, to be sure that things are working properly, which would at some point probably will be necessary. But that's the reason I might encourage considering that, just to make sure it's working. If you change your mind and decide to move in a couple years, you would end up having to upgrade the septic system based on the current regulations anyway. So maybe knowing whether it works and upgrading it so you can have the benefit of the new system might be to your advantage. Obviously, it's not free. So I am not trying to propose something that's really costly for no reason. But obviously, the regulation was written to try to improve metabolism of the material that is passes through that septic system on a daily basis in proximity to your own drinking water. So that's what the issues are. Anyway.
I appreciate that, and it's good. It's a good discussion to have. So I appreciate the information and insights. I mean, we know upon sale that would need to happen. And it's good information to have about why, even if it's not required, there may be good reasons for it, short of that.
I'm just making a few notes here to make some sort of proposal. Oh, do you have a garbage grinder?
There was one
in your
in
kitchen?
that house when it was sold to us, yes.
Would you be sad to lose that, because that can impair?
So I'm sorry, that one?
That could impair a cesspool, potentially.
No, that's no big deal either way, really.
Okay. So if we were thinking of making a condition of this next step being that the garbage grinder be removed, would that be distressing?
I mean, if that's something that the board feels strongly about, I don't. It's not something that we use in any kind of major way. So I don't. It's not a big deal one way or the other, really.
Okay. It will help with, I think, the system in the long term. It reduces the loadings, the solids loadings in general. And it's something that we do for things that are a little challenged time to time. So we're just trying to be a little consistent here from property to property.
Okay.
Mark, so besides, we've got the room reduction that's happening.
Yes.
The option to, deed restrict the home in a number of ways. One, we could ask that the third floor not be conditioned. That means no heating or cooling up there. So that at best it's seasonal use. We could specify no further additions nor finishing of unfinished space, and that would cover the basement.
Yes.
And
There's no
garbage
rush.
grinder.
Maybe he
Excuse
could,
me?
I said, or if there's no rush, he could wait and talk it over with his family and then come back to the board before he has a deed restriction on his house.
I mean, well,
Yeah, well,
I'd
that's
be
always
interested
an
to hear
option.
what that would entail. I mean, for various reasons, we are eager to move forward this summer, just for the kids' schedules and our schedules and our contractor and so forth. So that's a a priority for us. But the deed restriction, it sounds like would just be talking about the basement and the third floor. Is that the idea?
Yeah, and the garbage grinder is what I have at the moment. And it would have something, we would prepare language for you and provide that to you for the recording. And it would say that you can't do these things, but it would have a clause to the effect of unless and until the property was brought up to current septic standards. So there is a way through it. Part of why we have this is because you're now going through this whole discussion on why we're evaluating this and what the implications are. It's a way of recording it, but it's really for future owners so that they know.
Yeah.
That, they were thinking of adding another wing, and there'll be a hurdle to doing that. So it's an alerting future property owners as well. And again, we have to look at the house as best we can as to what the potential use is, not that, it may not always have 4 people in it. So we have to contemplate the maximum of how someone might use it.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
Can anyone?
It was never, marketed with the basement and third floor in mind, and I don't think it would be. And so having something that says those aren't part of the living area does not strike me as problematic in any way.
Yeah. Okay. So, Mark, am I missing anything, or anyone else? Have I missed something?
I think that would cover the issue, since it's based on the fact if it was a new additional room, we couldn't approve it. But because they're bathrooms, the state has indicated aren't considered new additional habitable rooms. And that's where the deed recording will help too, to limit what can happen at the house. And I know it was suggested, and I suggested highly, that the drinking water be tested yearly for bacteria, just for the sake of the occupants. So I don't know if you need to make that a condition, but we recommend that to everyone in town, that they at least at a minimal testing would be bacteria, and then every 3 years we'd suggest doing the full amount of tests that we would require for a new or replacement well, and that would be more the recommendation, and it's on record, but for the homeowner's sake.
No, I appreciate that. It's good advice, and I think that makes a lot of sense just from the discussion.
I would actually recommend bacteria and nitrogen compounds would be what I would want, because, you know, there may be great soil there that has a lot of bacteria that's going to address the bacteria that's coming from the septic system, but the nitrogen compounds are also an indicator of septic presence. So, and neither one of those are particularly expensive tests. And that'll be a suggestion. Okay. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to add? Otherwise, I'll proceed. Okay. So, do we have a motion? And Mark, you have a building application before you, correct?
That is correct.
Looking
So,
for approval? Okay.
and that is correct. I would be waiting for, if the board so votes, for the whatever conditions the board votes on. I would be waiting for that to be completed prior to approving the building application.
Okay. So do we have a motion to authorize Mark to approve the building permit converting a bedroom on the second floor to a bathroom?
Daryl, that's two
8100.
bathrooms. It's two bathrooms, just so you know.
Oh, to two bathrooms. Okay, thank you. To two bathrooms at 81 Hunting Lane, conditional to receipt of a deed recording that says that the third floor shall not be conditioned with heat or cooling such that it would be habitable year-round, that there are no further additions or finishing of unfinished spaces, and the garbage grinder is removed from the premises, or all garbage grinders are removed from the premises, excuse me, unless and until the septic system is brought up to current standards according to current regulations. And I think that's it.
I'm sorry, Daryl. So is it the second part, that's condition unless they upgrade the septic or the cesspools to a septic?
Oh, all of these things have to happen, but if they do upgrade the septic system at some point in the future, it can open up finishing basement spaces, adding heat to the third floor, and putting a garbage grinder back in. But it would have to fit within the new plan.
Right, right. And it would have to come to the board again. Okay.
Yep, yep.
Okay. So is that the motion?
Yep, it's the motion.
Okay. So moved.
I can second that.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none. Daryl Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Rebecca?
You hear me? Rebecca
Now
Honey.
we do. Oh, we heard your name, but not your vote.
That is so weird. I wonder why. Rebecca Honeywell, I.
Bose Kochaporakal, aye.
Okay. Oren, any other questions while you're here?
Oh, thank you all for your time and attention to this. I appreciate the discussion. And Mark, I guess myself or Alan will contact you about the logistics of how this works.
So you bet. In fact, you're welcome to reach our office. We're going to need to put a deed recording together. It's a little different from the norm, but we can work on that to make sure it's appropriate. Then that would have to be recorded and we would need proof of that recording. And the other thing, I just need to go to your property and check to make sure there's no garbage grinders. So those will be the two steps prior to getting the building permit approved.
Great.
On the Board of Health section, we approve the Board of Health section on the building permit. The final part would be the building commissioner, but we'll keep working with you to keep this moving along.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you
And
all.
then there were yep, and just remember our suggestion about testing for bacteria and nitrogen compounds.
For sure. Yep.
All right,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Okay, Mark, which of the properties under your business would you
Well,
like to take next?
Jonathan Hodson Walker's here, so we could bring up 195 Western Ave if the board so wishes.
Okay,
Jonathan. Jonathan and I, at the beginning of the month, June 1st, I had sent out an email. Jonathan had requested the status of the well and the use of the well. I sent out an email on June 1st indicating the well was approved for the barn for farm hands only. And I know he has an additional request to utilize the well for events, but when you go back to the records, the well was only approved for the farm hands. So, and same with the septic system, because whatever goes through that sink actually goes into the septic system of the main property house next to the backside of the barn.
Yeah.
So that's why the board had made those notes. I had noted the minutes from 2 years prior, I believe, and so I asked Jonathan if he would like to discuss this in further detail, that he's more than welcome to come back to the Board of Health for discussion. So that's why we're here tonight. And my email is
Okay.
up on that email of June 1st is on the screen.
Okay, I just wanted to mention a few things going into the discussion. So one is that there was recent communication shared by Jonathan about information from Mass DEP, which said they would not consider the well on site to be a public water supply. But what I want to point out about that is that determination that they are making is strictly based on the number of users for any particular well. And it has to be, there are various thresholds, but in this case, it would be over 25 people a day for 60 or more days a year. And so if a water supply meets that criteria, then the DEP will regulate what the testing regime has to be, and they will perform inspections on that water supply to make sure that it has all the features and care and maintenance that should be associated with those systems. Injection ports for disinfection, sometimes storage tanks. It varies a bit by exactly what the size and function of purpose of the system is. But it doesn't say anything about then whether it can be used for anything, which is under our domain. And part of the reason for that is our water supply is closely connected to our septic systems, because that's where the wastewaters go. And I guess one of the questions I have for Jonathan is, so what would the water be used for out for the Silverwood farm and event activities?
So the water will be used for drinking. Maybe we tend to have most of our events in the summer, so it's hot and people want to have water available. So it may be drinking water for the patrons that are attending the events at the farm. Occasionally, maybe the people who are preparing food, not in the barn, it's outside the barn. They may need some water, but as I said in my email, most people tend to bring their own water. They're very self-contained if it's a food truck or something like that. Maybe if it's somebody who's preparing something on site under a permit, may need some water. It's not a large volume at all. It's not like a residential situation. We're not running washing machines. We're not running dishwashers. It's really a very minimal usage of the water. It's sort of incidental to the event usage. And
Are you proposing it for hand washing? Or
Uh,
washing of
there,
surfaces or
it's a good
cleanup?
question. If right now, if it was hand washing, actually I don't know. We have a hand wash, a standalone hand wash unit that has got hot and cold water that we empty into the temporary toilet systems that are on site. Um, I don't think it will be used for hand washing for the most part. It's really just drinking water. And really incidental. It's not like we're putting hundreds of gallons through it. It's a very small quantity typically.
Okay. Oh, darn. Forgot what I was going to ask you.
I
Okay, so
understand the. I
you would
understand,
still be continuing with the porta potties that you were using
yes,
on site,
yes.
and the hand washing, I believe in the units you have, do they have hand washing within those?
The trailer unit has hand washing in it. We have a separate standalone hand washing station that has hot and cold water, and that's been inspected by Tom
Okay.
as recently as this weekend.
Okay. I'm just taking some notes. And, yeah, hold on. Okay. And preparing food, do you mean just, well, when I didn't know that there was, yes, there's sometimes food prep on site. I thought more things were brought in and catered and maybe the occasional barbecuing, but like somebody would be filling a pot to make pasta
So
with water.
maybe that they may fill a pot to make pasta outside. They may have a grill system. We've had all sorts of people come through the farm, whether it's pig roasts or food trucks or whatever. Most food trucks, like I say, bring their own water. Most situations don't need a lot of water. We're not talking about a high volume of water usage here. It's a very small volume. And if I look back at the various events, very few people have actually used the water. It's really used for, if someone wants to fill up a water canister and have it on the table so who can get a drink of water because it's so hot outside.
Okay. I was asking because, drinking is one thing. I could see that. It is a little different in terms of our normal water cycle here in Sherborn. What we drink eventually becomes wastewater, not to be too graphic here, but it does replenish the groundwater again. So this would be drinking that may or may not replenish anything here on site, but in town, but it doesn't sound like enormous volumes necessarily. Mark and others, please weigh in on that. Preparing food, I think, starts to cross over into a little, I'd want to have Tom Curran weigh in on that in terms of what areas that might change the permitting or the facility setup to accommodate that and under what circumstances. So I would want to rely on some of his input because some food preparation may lead to some assumptions about on-site cleaning of food preparation equipment, and that would be problematic given the septic system sizing as it is now. So,
can I just pause you right there for a second? So you're making the assumption that we're putting water into the septic. Let's just get this straight. We are not putting this water into the septic system. It's either being used by the vendors and taken off site, being used on site and poured into the temporary toilets that are on site. This is not being sent into the septic system.
I was not saying that it was. I was saying that my concern would be that maybe it would lead to that, and we would just need to have procedures in place to prevent that, because you also can't officially take water, clean out a pot, and then dump it on the ground. It's not really a preferred management method for wastewaters either in terms from a regulatory perspective. So
I've not seen anything that at the events here. And believe me, Tom is on site. He's checking everybody. We're very well supervised. We don't want that happening. We're an organic farm. That's not the intent here. I think you're bringing things up that are unlikely situations. That the reality. I understand in general in Sherborn, what comes out of the well goes into the septic system, and there's a understandable concerns about that. In this situation, what gets used on site for events goes into portable toilets or is taken off site by the vendors. So I think it's a different construct to maybe what you guys are used to seeing, but that's the reality of it. We're not pouring spent waste food on the ground. People are taking it off site. People are generally very good about that, and Tom's supervising them, making sure they're doing the right thing from the operational perspective.
Just
well, this is more to alert you that this does not open the door for some of those other activities. Okay, so that's part of this discussion. There's not saying that you're doing it now, but access to more water might lead people to think that there were more opportunities for how they were managing things. And that would not necessarily be the case. So Mark,
yeah,
I think
Daryl,
you had something maybe you wanted to add?
Sure. First and foremost, there was, and I noted the minutes of September 6, 2023. And in those minutes, Tom advised the board, as well as I've advised Tom, that the kitchen in the barn area is for farm hands only, so that the kitchen is not to be used. It was in probably the fourth paragraph to the end, but it was plenty of discussion. What concerns me is if the well is to be allowed to be used, where does that go? And the well is only for the use of the farm hands in that kitchen. That kitchen being open, it would have to be closed for any events and caterers, because then indeed that water use is being used for more than farm hands. So it's concerning how that well could be used at events and not in any way affect the septic system, because the water is in the kitchen, and that's where the water would have to go into the septic system if the sinks were being used.
That is absolutely not, that's just not the case.
Or
3 faucets on the wash station. There are outside hydrants around the building. There's plenty of access to water for people that are using the facility without going into the building.
The hydrants you mentioned, Jonathan, are they attached to the well? I'm not aware of those.
It's sort of outside faucets, frost-free faucets around the building that could provide water. There are 3 spigots on the wash station directly across from the tent that people can get water from. There's no need for people to go.
Do they need to be plumbed differently if used for drinking water than for irrigation?
True.
These are not very big faucets at all. These are all plumbed from the barn for drinking water. They all go through the filter that Mark inspected last week.
But I wasn't aware that you had available spigots for more than just the farm hands.
The water test actually specifies that the test result was taken from the wash station spigot.
Is that the spigot in the kitchen you're talking about, or is that an outside spigot?
Outside spigot on the wash. There are 3 spigots on the wash station.
I wasn't aware of that. I only was aware, and if it's on the report, so be it, but I wasn't aware that the water access was more than just the kitchen sink.
It is.
And where did the wash stations drain to, or just to ground?
That drains to the pond, the farm pond. There's a drainage grill on the ground of the wash station, and it drains down to the farm pond.
So the wash station is for washing what? Hands? Or...
Washing our vegetables, actually. It's for washing the organic produce.
And so the idea would be that, and I'm just asking, caterers would use that to fill up a pitcher of water?
They could fill a pitcher.
Water?
We could take the pitcher in the kitchen and fill it from the kitchen. We could take the pitcher to the wash station and fill it from the wash station. Yes, and that water, once drawn from the well, would then be used in the event and either be consumed by people and go into the toilet facility, the temporary toilet facilities, be used by a vendor, be taken off site, or be used in some other way and poured into the temporary toilets on site. It is not going into the septic system.
Okay.
Here we go. Sample taken after water filter at wash station.
Okay. All right. So things I think we're going to need to investigate. Again, this is not an ordinary situation that we encounter. Need to find out about drinking water from spigots. Certainly drinking from a hose, like a watering hose,
Why-
is
Why do we
usually
need to find
not good because
find out
they're
about it?
rarely potability standard level quality. And then we need to verify from the kind of food service handling perspective, is there some way to allow food vendors outside? That
But
may
my
be
question is,
okay,
why
but
would
again,
they?
I'd want to run that by Tom.
Mhm.
And look, we're trying to figure out some way of whether this can work. I think it's reasonable to make sure people have water to drink and you have a well. You did mention, whether things would be used by vendors and taken off site. We do not want, vendors coming to get water, take off site to other events. That I think would be wholly inappropriate.
Daryl,
Why
if
are
I
we,
may.
why are we even considering that possibility here? That is completely irrelevant to what we're talking about here.
No,
if
it sets up some rules of operation is what I'm trying to think through. What kinds of things, rather than say, sure, go ahead and do it. We need to make it reasonable and not causing some other kind of problem down the line.
And Daryl, if I may, if indeed water from this well is to be used for temporary food events and customers, we have regulations for the other food establishments requiring water testing on a regular basis. So that would have to be considered as well, if allowed.
But aren't
Yes,
those food
I agree.
establishments public water supplies?
Oh, this is private water.
No, we haven't.
On some of them. Some of them are public, some of them are private.
They have an annual test that needs to be done to ensure that the water being served to people or used for food preparation is suitable. And that includes residential kitchens also do this testing. So it is standard across food establishments in town. All right, spoken enough. Any other board members have any concerns or ideas you'd like to express? Or questions you'd like to ask?
I think I'm good, Daryl. I think you kind of covered the topic pretty well. I think I'm good.
Okay. Rebecca and Bose?
Discussion was adequate.
All right.
I think so too. You've
Okay.
covered a lot of it.
Yeah, I think there are some things I'd like us to work out with Tom, the food inspector, to weigh in and come up with kind of a list of conditions, do's and don'ts, what's acceptable, what is not acceptable, where are the limits on the possible use of this well. But can I get a sense from the board? Do you think it's reasonable to permit use of the water supply at the property for primarily for drinking, possibly for food prep, pending what Tom might have to say, but not to generate wastewaters that contribute flow to the septic system, and not waters to be used off-site, which would be essentially exporting our groundwater to somewhere else.
If I may, Darrell, I know you asked the board members, but again, I would suggest that that not be allowed until appropriate water testing be conducted.
Yes.
And whatever the board does vote, it will be a change from the original intent of the septic system and well, which was for farm hands only. So it'll be a major vote of change to a previously approved septic / water use for this property.
Right. So
I think it would
hopefully
be-
what I'm trying to do is not change the septic use, but the two are linked and implied. And I guess probably more local control. I don't know. I guess we could check with DEP if they have any guidance about best management practices that they've seen in other towns who might have entertained this sort of a situation. But in general, reasonable to permit the water use for drinking, primarily for drinking.
This is such a complicated subject based on the issues that were discussed in the beginning. I would be very hesitant to change the original plan without some guidance, because no matter what, it would be hard to, if we say all these conditions, I mean, that's impossible to enforce. And so I think that we should find out if there's anything that Tom Curran could, is there something that it would address the issue of, if you have another source of drinking water, where does that go? Do we create a way for the water to go where it is best for it to go? I don't know. Is it good for it? If there's so much more use of the water, will it be introducing more complex issues if it's going into the pond, for example? Like, I don't know.
Okay, so, right, the magnitude of use that could ultimately result would be an issue, but in some respects, if the goal is to not rise to the level of needing to be a public water supply system and all the requirements associated with that, there's some implied limit on amount.
Well, and if I may too, Darrell and board members, there's another issue here. Outside spigots are not supposed to be used for anything but outside watering. I can see washing down vegetables because that's normal, but the plumbing code, if you put an outside shower at your house, you need disposal. Outside of it just being an outside spigot. So outside spigots are not supposed to be used for domestic purposes outside of general water use for lawns, and washing down vegetables would be appropriate, but this may involve the plumbing codes as well if it's going to be used for anything more than that.
Yeah, and that was a concern I had, because I wasn't, there are different issues with how spigots can be installed versus fixtures that we use for drinking water. So, okay, so outside spigot.
Can I make a comment, please?
Yes.
One issue so first of all, we're a certified organic farm, right? This is a farm business with incidental usage of the facility for events. We have had experience with the town of Sherborn being overly aggressive in regulations of our farm. I'll note the planning board issue, which you guys may or may not be aware about. I'm happy to send you the legal ruling from land court if you want to see that. We would like to be treated in a way that is reflective of the regulations that exist. I know you guys have a lot of flexibility to impose conditions, we're talking about a few gallons of water that people are drinking here, or a few gallons of water that people are using for food. We're not shipping water off site. Tom's there every event. He's joining the spot, checking people out. He's very good about it. We're not some large commercial operation looking to abuse Sherborne's water supply. You know, we live right next door. I'd like to get some kind of sense of proportionality to this discussion rather than lots of what ifs that might happen, which really aren't going to happen. And we're looking for a reasonable approach to allow people to drink water out of a well that's got lots of tests that show it's tremendously high quality water. And we're not looking to abuse the system. We understand with crystal clarity what the requirements are, what the regulations are, what the conditions are around our use of the event facility. That's all we're asking. We're not looking to create a big issue here for everybody. So if we could have some proportionality and some reasonableness, which actually, Daryl, I think you were along the right path there, it would be appreciated.
The reason that what I was saying is that there was I mean, we're trying to help you not have to trip the threshold because you've expressed a desire to not be a public water supply. So unfortunately, the more water that's moving around, the easier. We don't want it to trip that threshold either. We're trying to help you to not trip that threshold. And so that's why I wanted to stick with the original plan, because I knew it was already controversial for a bunch of different reasons. And that's all I was saying.
I don't think there's any controversy. I checked with the head of DEP about what is required. You've got the emails, right? It's
that is a different regulatory arena. So just so, as I explained at the beginning, they're regulating for a different purpose. It was not saying it's okay to do what you wanted to do. All their email said is that you do not qualify as a public water supply. You do not need to follow their regulations about that. So believe it or not, we're actually trying to find a way to see if we can make this work, whether it would be reasonable, and we're trying to set up guardrails to avoid unintended consequences of doing it. And you've expressed that you don't want to do some of the things that we would be concerned about. So that's good. And therefore, us discussing it doesn't mean that you won't be able to do this. It just means that we're trying to be careful, again, about unintended consequences of saying, sure, use the water for events. So we need to define that better. We need to make sure that we're not violating plumbing code and any other things that we need to be concerned about. We need to treat you and your operations the same as we treat, as we mentioned, the other food establishments in town that are required to annually test water and submit those results to us to make sure that it meets potability and therefore safety for providing to others who are expecting that, right? They're not coming to a nice establishment such as the one you have and expecting not to be drinking clean water. So it all fits together. It may sound like a lot, but we're just trying to identify it again. This is a very unusual, brand new circumstance for us. So we have to work our way through it. And it may take, we're not going to finish that tonight because we've identified a few things that we need to research further, including the plumbing code and the outdoor spigot issue. And is there a workaround for that? There may be someone at the state level who has encountered this before for other agricultural establishments who have broadened into other things. I know there are a number out in the western part of Massachusetts that are also beautiful, beautiful barn venues. So they may be able to share some insight into how they did this successfully.
Great. We would much appreciate any guidance and assistance that can be provided. We're just looking to do the right thing.
Terrific. That's what we're trying to do also.
I just have one question. This is regarding these events, and how big do you anticipate these events to be? And how big are they going to become in the future?
Typically, most events are 100 to 200 people. But we have planning permission for larger events.
Is it up to 1,000? Is that what I read recently, or no?
Correct. Up to 1,000 people. That's correct.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. That has so many more implications too, right? Other than Board of Health.
We've discussed it at length with the planning board.
Right. I know. Yeah.
And then the cap on that from the PWS perspective would be only, well, that would be a lot, that could be up to 60,000 people in a year.
I highly doubt we're going to have that many events.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
We're fortunate to have one event of that size or two events of that size, great, but it would help our farm business significantly in terms of marketing, customers coming through the facility. But again, remember, we live here. So,
yeah,
like everybody does.
Yeah, it reminds me of Clarkson's farm on telly.
In some ways I wish, in some ways I'm glad it's not.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. All right. I don't know that there's anything we can vote on at the moment other than, again, is the board generally willing to continue looking at a way to make this implementable and working on some of these issues?
Yeah.
That's the only sense of the board I need right now, I think. Is that okay?
Yes.
Steve, Rebecca,
good.
okay, Bose is a
Yes.
Rebecca, are you generally inclined that we can keep researching this?
Yes.
Okay, and Steve?
Yes. And I'm assuming that's going to involve Tom and taking a look at some of the,
Mark,
right.
and any board member who would like to take on any particular topic, you could let Sarah know or me know, and but there can only be two of us at any one time working on something. Oh, unless you have a favorite topic, you can research it on your own and feed the information to Sarah, who can then distribute it out to the board as a whole for discussion later.
And in the future, if I may, Madam Chair, in the future, there's always the opportunity to look at a septic system for the barn. I know Jonathan has worked on soil testing with Paul Saulnier. Maybe down the road, hopefully that could be a consideration. And we wouldn't, I mean, the water supply would still be a concern about testing it, but at least the waste disposal wouldn't be as much of an issue, so that maybe the barn bathrooms could be used and so forth. But unfortunately, right now, it's only for the farm hands. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes. No, and that actually fits in with one thing I see as a wider area impact is not having to transport water into town to supply drinking water at these functions. And so that's reduced energy use overall. And that would, the flip side of that would be, as you said, Mark, is being able to manage the wastewaters on site would also be, a potential better balance overall on a wider scale. So, all right, Jonathan, is that okay if we go off, do our research, and we'll let you know, next board meeting or whatever we've pulled together, and we'll keep in touch.
That would be great. We're looking to get this sorted out relatively quickly. We've got a series of events. I met with Tom the last 2 weekends, I think, for events on site. We'd appreciate the consideration of it. Again, if Mark wants to come out to site and have an inspection, he's welcome to do that. Take a look at the wash station where the spigots are and what we're talking about. Again, it's not a complicated circumstance at all, and happy to be responsive and as responsive as required.
Okay, and Mark, I think probably the first step to be done is the spigot issue.
Yeah, so
Let's get a
I
handle on that, because
Yeah.
that is the point of delivery of
yeah,
this
I wasn't,
water.
and I
And if that's not
apologize.
okay, then we're,
Yeah, I wasn't aware of those wash stations, even though it is noted on the report. I thought that was the wash
Mhm.
station in the kitchen, but indeed, I'll be glad to look at those and see how they're set up.
Yeah.
It appears they're spigots, so that's fine. If they had plumbing
Mm.
like a sink or a wash sink near it, then that unfortunately cannot be done without appropriate permitting and sewage disposal. So hopefully they're just
Yeah.
outside spigots. Because then you get involved with the plumbing code as well as with any type of capturing of that water in a sink or like an outside
Yeah.
wash station would be concerning. And I'd have to address that with the board and the plumbing inspector, but I'd be glad to go out and look at them. And the other thing, Jonathan, have you been able to touch up the well apron we discussed a couple weeks ago?
I will mount it up. We've been waiting for some extra grass sod, but it's been a little dry right now, but we'll get that mounted up to 2
Thank
feet.
you. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Okay. All right. So I don't think we need to keep you any longer, Jonathan, but we will be in touch as we uncover new information.
Very good. I much appreciate the board's consideration and look forward to following up.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Okay. So Mark,
Okay.
155 Washington.
Sure. We were out there on June 9th. That was a week ago, Tuesday, and we did the soil testing at 155. I invited the homeowner to be here, but I don't know if she's here. I just looked at the list. I don't see her here, but Julie Morrow, if you're here, please let me know. I don't believe she is. But I sent an email out Monday, and the email was to Julie and CC'd to the engineering company that will be doing the design, indicating that the board would be discussing this tonight for timelines. Now, we have seen well, first of all, the soil testing revealed we could not do percolation tests. The ground was too wet. There was no chance of the possibility is maybe a dewatered perk, but that would use up a lot of the area where the soil absorption areas to go. So the engineering firm and the soil evaluator, who was Paul Saunier, decided to send out soil samples to a lab. And that usually takes a week. But I wanted to keep the engineering firm who's going to design. The soil evaluator indicated to me he will not design. It will be Colonial Engineering doing the design. I just want to keep them on track, and that's why it's on the agenda for tonight to set some timelines, as noted in my email that was sent out this Monday, so that it can stay on track for the septic system design as well as approval and then for the installation. So that's why I put it on the agenda tonight and apologize. I will be getting into a more lit room in a little bit, but I do have some lighting here. But anyways, that's the status of 155, and the board would probably need to consider setting up new benchmarks or new timelines.
Okay. Have you had any feedback from them about any proposed new timelines that you've run by them about their ability to do that?
I have not. I was hoping to get a response
Oh,
from my email I sent out on this Monday, June 15th, but I have not heard back. I did get a chance to talk to Julie Morrow on site. She was there with her husband and explained. She asked, can I put on a garage? And I indicated, well, that will have to wait till the system is designed and installed. But the possibility is there as long as it doesn't interfere with the actual septic system design. And Paul and I were part of that conversation. Unfortunately, when you do what they call an alternative to a percolation test, we've seen that in other examples. In fact, one of our hearings tonight was canceled, but they use the same process. The state does not allow for any additional flow. So with that said, they were informed that they would have to remain at the bedroom count that house is at presently. And so I believe it's 3 bedrooms, and unfortunately, we'd only be able to determine that from the assessors records. And Julie Morrow was informed of that, and she seemed okay with that. But they originally were thinking about adding a second floor. I said, well, your bedroom count would have to be the same, and the room count could not be more than 8 rooms. So she is aware of that.
Okay. All right. So there's some options. Do you have, since you haven't had feedback from them yet, and and it's a while until the next meeting. I'm sorry. There's no way I can remember.
I
Hold
could
on.
suggest to the board that by July 1st, a design septic plan be submitted to the board for review and approval. I could make that that seems reasonable. That's only, I know, typically to have a soil sample tested at a lab, it's usually 2 weeks. So that would bring us to June 23rd. I don't see why they could not have a septic plan in. Maybe we give them till July because of the holiday. I just realized that maybe till to 2 days prior. Well, no, maybe we're meeting July 17th, if I'm not mistaken, and that gets
Yeah.
posted 5 days prior. So maybe by July 10th that they have a design septic plan in to the Board of Health for review and approval.
Mark, I have an
Okay.
administrative question about that.
Yeah.
So the homeowner with the soil testing that we had the ability to enforce that, but since this is the engineer that would be doing the submission, how would we be able to enforce that?
To the homeowner. That's why I sent that email out on Monday to the homeowner, exactly for that reason, Sarah, because we can't push the engineer on this, but the homeowner can. And the homeowner is under the enforcement order to have this completed.
Correct, but if the engineer is for whatever reason unable to complete it,
Yeah.
is that a possibility as well? I'm not sure what
Yeah,
their timelines would look like, but I'm just
Yeah.
curious, would we
The
be
homeowner,
punishing the homeowner for the engineer's fault?
well, the homeowner will need to consider contracting a different engineer if they don't want to work with her, but they have to understand, and that's why I sent that email out Monday, is this is under a review by the board, and we don't want it being curtailed, because if it does get curtailed, what happens is you could indeed be up against winter, and I hope
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't get to that point. But it's ideal right now for them to get a septic plan in. I think July 10th is a reasonable date. They should have
Okay.
all the data. Now, if the engineering firm says, no, we're 4 months out, then it's up to the applicant to find a new engineer.
Okay, thank you for that
Yeah, no
clarification.
problem. It's a good point. Very good point, because we hear that so often from the engineers. I know they're busy, but this is a different case where they should be expediting this as much as we had the issue with the soil testing. And that's why we push the issue that, they're under administrative order to get this done. They're not per not just the local board, but per the state code that they haven't replaced that system in 2 years of the sale. So, but that good question, because indeed I'm worried about that. I'm worried that maybe the engineer firm doesn't have the capability of producing a plan. I'd never seen a septic plan from this engineering firm. I don't know who their engineer or registered sanitarian is. And it's concerning that Paul Saunier, I thought, was designing the plan, who's an engineer, but he said, no, this company called Colonial Engineering out of Medway are the people that will be designing the plan. Who stamps it? I don't know. Paul said he doesn't get involved with the design or the stamping, Paul Saunier. But good point. And that's why I think the board needs to make a decision tonight on the next timeline, at least the next step. And that's why I'm suggesting
Yeah.
July 10th. It gives us a chance to put this back on the July 17th meeting for review. And if indeed there's issues, it'll be up to the board at that time to mandate something different, maybe, if the engineer can't produce.
So Mark,
Okay, so
I'm just trying to understand all this. So of course, they have to change their septic and all that. And it's been delayed. So what happens if they are not able to do it before winter? What would we do?
Yeah, you hope we don't go there, but if it did get delayed past winter, the board can start working with DEP, the state DEP, because it's their code that
Okay.
says the system has to be replaced. Our code is if it's accessible, it has to be replaced within a year.
Right. Okay.
Their code under Title V is it has to be replaced within 2 years of a
Okay.
failure. So we would have to work with the DEP, but I really hope we don't go there.
Yeah, right.
Say the
Yeah.
homeowner has been working with us the best she can. That's
Right.
why I sent that email out Monday to include Paul DeSimone, who owns the company called Colonial Engineering. So they realize that this is a
high priority.
a timely situation, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But that's a good point. You know, I don't want to go down that route, but it could be administrative orders, fines, and so forth. Let's hope we
Yeah.
don't have to even go there. I really don't want to. I always tell the applicants, I'd rather have you not spend your money on fines. I'd rather have you spend it on fixing things. You know, I prefer that.
Right.
Yeah. And we have been trying to move them along on this.
Yes.
There
Yep.
have been obstacles along the way, and they're not the only ones in town who have
Yep.
challenges.
Exactly.
So before we, I propose a motion about July 10th. How does July 17th look as a meeting that everyone's able to attend or not? I believe I will be able to attend that. We just need a quorum for that meeting. Summertime gets a little tough.
I need to look at my calendar and I can get back to Sarah.
When is that?
Okay. July 17th, Wednesday, July
That's a
17th.
Friday. It's July 15th.
That's a Friday?
Yeah,
I
Oh, July
apologize. I
15th?
might have the wrong date. I apologize.
the 15th is the Wednesday.
Thank,
Oh,
thank,
yeah,
thank you,
okay.
Steve.
Yeah, today's the 17th.
You're proposing an additional meeting?
No, that's
I
when
made a
our next
mistake. I
scheduled
made a
meeting is July 15th. I knew it sounded familiar, but not exact. Okay. So July 15th. And that means we'd need the plans a little bit before July 10th, maybe July 8th.
That sounds good.
Reasonable.
Okay. And is that a weekend or anything funny like that?
Yeah.
So
Be weird if we did it.
Bo said he has to check
Uh,
his calendar. Steve, will you be able to attend the July 15th meeting?
Yes.
Rebecca, will you be able to attend the July 15th meeting?
I believe so.
Okay. Then we
I
have a
just
quorum.
need to confirm that. Yeah.
I will follow up with everybody as well.
Yeah, okay. So then we
Just-
can move ahead with the motion.
But just to
Do
be
we
clear,
have a,
I'm sorry.
oh, go ahead.
I just want to make sure we're clear. So, especially for Rebecca, because she asked about another meeting. We're not going to have another meeting on the 8th. That's when,
No,
okay.
yeah, that's when the plans would be due so
That's when the
that
plans
Mark
would be
has
due,
time to
correct.
review them in time for this meeting of the 17th
Okay, got it. Thank you.
and give us
We're just
an
voting
accurate
on
update.
the one meeting of July.
Yes,
The
Okay.
15th, right.
okay.
I'm sorry,
So
Daryl. I
the
just want to
motion-
clarify.
Oh, go ahead.
The meeting has been scheduled. Right now, you're voting on whether or not the plans have to be submitted by July 8th. The meeting is on the 15th.
Exactly.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure we're on the same page.
I appreciate that because
Okay.
for a second I thought misunderstood, and then I was like, wait a minute, maybe I
Oh.
wasn't,
The
listening.
meeting is scheduled and we're all set on that. That's unless not everyone can
This
make
is
it.
all about when we want them to have the plans in time for that meeting on the 15th. Okay.
Thank you.
So do we have a motion to authorize Mark to communicate with the property owners of 155 Maple Street that the, how do we want to phrase this, that the plans for the replacement septic system need to be received in the Board of Health office by July 8th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Darrell Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Rebecca Honeywell, aye.
Bose Kochuporokalai.
Excellent. Okay, Mark, anything else on 155 for now?
Mark, you're muted.
Yes, and I apologize. I temporarily moved to a new location. Did the board ask me a question during that process?
No. Other than, do you have anything else that for 155 Maple Street?
Mark, you're
You're
muted.
muted again.
Sorry, I truly apologize. I was moving from one spot to another. No, I do not have anything else, and I will send an email to the applicant. I missed if a date was decided on. Did the board decide
Oh,
on
yes, July 8th.
July 8th? I will
is
send an
when it's
email.
due in. Yep. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. And in that email, you could name however many copies of the plan you need. Okay, anything else, Mark, from you?
No,
Otherwise, I think.
that is it for me. And again, I apologize for the wrong date for the meeting and moving around and not hearing you on that July 8th date. Thank you so
Now,
much.
I should have looked at my notes. I had written down the 2 dates, but I
That's fine.
was not pulling
Thank
that
you.
up quickly enough. Okay. Agenda, we have food. Oh, Sarah, would you like to update on the summer hours for the Board of Health?
Sure. So we kind of already touched on that just now.
Mhm.
But for the summer, I just want to make sure that we will have quorum for our meetings in advance. So we already discussed the July 15th meeting. Bo said that he will get back to me, which I
Yes.
appreciate.
Mhm.
And then our other meeting is August 12th. And so if you know in advance that you have a trip planned or won't be able to attend that meeting, please let me know as soon as you know. I'll also be following up on the 14 business days before each of those meetings to make sure that we have quorum as well. So I just want to make sure that everyone has those. Also, just as an update to everybody, the town hall will be closed on Fridays, starting July 6th until Labor Day. That doesn't impact the Board of Health office hours. We are always closed on Fridays, but that does impact town hall hours. And that's really it.
Okay. And the one other note I will make is that given that we just have the 2 meetings over the summer, which is kind of preferred, a lot of boards do reduce meetings because also a lot of people are traveling over this time period. So even people who might want to attend a Board of Health meeting, may not have the same opportunity to do so during this time period. So it's perfectly fine to reduce our meetings as long as we get the work done, which leads to the next issue, which is that sometimes issues arise and can't wait a month in between meetings to be addressed. If that arises, we will reach out to the board members to see if there's any possibility of pulling together a quorum for something that is time sensitive. Hard to predict what that is. Hopefully it's not another pandemic. But, there could be something that arises. So don't be surprised if we end up having to ask that question. Okay.
My
I think we
last
have.
update on summer hours is
Oh,
just
yeah.
I will be on vacation tomorrow, Thursday, and then it's a federal holiday on Friday, and then I'll also be taking a vacation day on Monday, the 22nd. Just if anyone needed me, I'll be out of the office.
Okay. And then if anyone, I don't think we have anyone but board related here right now, but people can just call into the office central number and leave a message about anything they need help with, and the other staff can fill in while you're gone.
Undoubtedly.
Okay.
And if I can, to the board members, I already made note to the co-chairs and to Sarah that I will be checking in even if I'm away, at least first thing in the morning, and making sure, there's no issues. I'm not paid to work out of town. That's the bylaw. That's the bylaw in the town. But out of courtesy to the board, I'm going to be offering free time to the board to make sure that the office is stable and questions can be answered. So I'll try to check in every morning if Sarah's there, I'll check in with her. If not, I'll check in with Jean just to keep the office moving.
Thank you, Mark. always
Thank you. Yeah,
appreciated,
that's
and
fabulous.
someday we'll find a workaround for that.
You're more than
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. All right. Food establishments. We have, I'm just going to go down the list. Maybe we could do, all right, let's do the standalone one because of the sodium posting. For St. Teresa's Church.
There are some conditions for that one.
Okay.
So let me turn my camera back on. I'm sorry. So
Okay.
St. Teresa's Church, they are a church and they occasionally do breakfast for their parishioners and other events like that. And they do have a food establishment permit. In March of 2025, they received an inspection that had several violations noted that needed to be corrected. And it was the recommendation of the food inspector, Mr. Tom Curran, that the food permit not be issued until these violations are corrected. And so this past couple of weeks, we've been in contact with the facilities manager. And on Monday, or on Tuesday, sorry, got my days confused there, we were able to confirm that majority of the violations have been corrected. They are still needing to get the, they're called irreversible thermometers. They're paper thermometers that you put in dishwashing machines to ensure they get to the proper temperature. And we still need their internal grease trap pump records because those can be provided, those can be done in-house, so we don't get those from the companies necessarily. And they also need to connect with the building inspector on if they need a fire suppression system and get a commercial hood maintenance company to come out and check out their hood. It should be noted that they do not use their ovens and they have not used them in many months, and it's more of a preventative measure. And as for the irreversible thermometers, when I did go today to confirm that they had all of their other thermometers in place and their appropriate biohazard kits. They did order the irreversible thermometers. However, the package was empty upon arrival. So they're putting in an effort to find them. However, the package only had a receipt. So waiting on that. But
yeah,
I would recommend it can either be approved conditional to receipt of the pumping records and the vent, the hood sticker cleaning, or we can stay until the next meeting. That's up to the board.
Do they have events for? Oh well, they wouldn't have the permit anyway until then.
No, I will say for the pumping records, the building manager is on vacation. So they have been contacted, but they're just not present at the time. And the facilities manager doesn't have access to that.
Actually, I think we should probably approve this subject, issuance subject to receipt of some of these things or all of these things, because maybe it'll all come in well before July 15th. For some miracle. It's a little bit of a tough time to get folks in doing stuff around the holiday, but that way it could be issued without waiting maybe an extra long time. Does that sound reasonable, Sarah?
Yes.
Okay.
I just have a question. How are they using their food permit? I mean, what exactly happens at the place?
They do like bagels and coffee on after masses in the morning.
And they get it from Dunkin' Donuts or some other place, right? And just serve it. Or
yes.
is there any cooking happening at the place?
Not that I know
And
of.
so they don't have a kitchen, do they?
They do have a kitchen. They have a fully functioning kitchen. However, it's not a restaurant. They have a food permit. Um, the way it was explained to me, and again, I'm new to this situation, and so, this might not be entirely correct, but they do bagels and coffee and things of that nature, which you do need a food permit to serve coffee.
Yes.
And they get the permit in case they would like to do an event where they cook or do a bake sale or host a dinner of that nature. Um, that's how it was explained to me, and I can
Right.
follow up on that for you, Bose, as well.
Yeah, and it may have changed. When I inspected the facilities, same as the other churches, their kitchens are used minimally. They basically may have a kitchen, I mean, a food church dinner once in a great while, but most of the intent is to store the cream cheese and the other things for the bagels in the refrigerator. And it's very minor food preparation, if there's any at all. That's
Mhm.
what I've seen in the past, and that was 10 years ago.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Now,
So,
so what I'm wondering is, should we approve all this, uh, anticipating that at some point they will use their kitchen to cook something and have a big dinner, and and would our approval be premature, or would it fall short?
They do need a food permit regardless because of the coffee and the bagels and the cream
Okay.
cheese. That's regardless. And the following these regulations of having the records of the internal grease trap pump and of all the thermometers and things because they have that equipment. That's just a requirement of the federal food code as well.
Yeah, but if they're not using it, then
But they
yeah,
they do use it.
oh, they do use it. Okay.
Yeah. They do use the fridge and they use the dishwasher and they make coffee.
Well, they make the
yeah,
coffee there.
Yes, they have several coffee pots. They have like
Ah,
four.
okay, okay, right, okay.
yes, they've been doing this for quite a long time, varying degrees and intensities. But all right, Sarah, I'm going to need a little help to make sure I get the wording on this right.
Got it.
So, do we have a motion to approve the food permit for St. Teresa's Parish, conditional to confirmation that they have received the irreversible thermometers for the dishwasher. Also conditional to
Receipt
the
of
evidence that the grease trap has been pumped out. Would that be appropriate? Okay. For the fire suppression system, was that an inspection of or a recharging of? An installation of?
it's we need a receipt confirmation that they have had a commercial hood maintenance company there.
Oh, that goes together with the hood inspection.
Yes, that's
Okay.
all part of
Two
it.
separate things. Oh, okay. So, all right. So confirmation of that they have on hand the irreversible thermometers for the dishwasher, that the grease trap has been pumped out.
Well, Darrow, if I may, on the grease trap, it's an
Yeah.
internal one, so they can actually maintain it by, they could actually not use a pump, but they could clean it out with manual scoops
Oh.
and so forth. They can do it
Oh,
manually,
and they
is what
could
I
do it
meant.
themselves?
Yeah, I've seen that
They
done
can do it?
before. I'm sure there's
Okay.
limited
So it's
grease
just, okay.
maintenance.
So it would, okay. Confirmation that they have, that the grease trap has been, internal grease trap has been cleaned out.
Thank you, Mark.
Yep.
Then will we be inspecting it? Or how are we going to enforce
That
this?
could be the manner of confirmation, or maybe a photo. I'm going to leave that probably to Mark and Tom to determine whether it's
That's fine.
satisfactory information,
Yes.
or if they say, what do you need for confirmation? You can answer. And then the last one is confirmation that a qualified hood inspection vendor has inspected what?
It's a
Inspected the
hood.
hood? Or
They
the
need
hood has been inspected by,
a commercial hood
all of
maintenance company.
okay,
They will leave a sticker on the side of the hood indicating it was properly cleaned and maintained,
Hmm.
that commercial company.
all right. Confirmation that the hood has been inspected by a commercial hood maintenance company.
Hmm.
So moved.
A second?
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Darrell Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Honeywell, aye.
Postcode Chiporokalai.
Okay.
Sorry,
And
that
then we
one was
have,
so complicated.
well, no, those were kind of an interest. I never heard about the irreversible thermometer before, so that's exciting.
No, we use it. We use it all the time. It's a tape that you stick and put stuff on the autoclave, and when it comes back, it has these black lines on it. Isn't that what you're referring
Oh,
to?
The ones that I've seen
well,
for kitchen use are pink, but
Okay. Yeah.
essentially the same thing. You stick
No,
it in
it's
the
it's
top
different
rack of the
temperatures.
dishwasher.
It's different temperatures. So we need it to be at 121 degrees for cleaning, and dishwasher's probably what 80, so that's a pink color. Yeah, that's probably it. You can buy
oh, goodness.
truckloads of that from Fisher Scientific or some other place, I guess. I don't know.
They sell them on Amazon, but the
Amazon,
package
though.
was just empty. I don't
Okay,
know where they
maybe.
went.
Right.
All right, I have to make a friendly amendment to the motion. That would be, do we have a motion to amend our very recent approval of the food establishment permit for St. Teresa's Parish to include a sodium posting?
I'm sorry, what was that? To include a
Sodium posting. Their sodium is at
sodium.
72.6
Okay.
milligrams per liter.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing
Oh,
none.
Daryl, do you
Beardsley.
also want to add remaining in compliance with all applicable laws? I feel like we always add that one.
Yeah, actually, I had temporarily thought of that. Here we go. So, and
Been a long
another
day.
friendly amendment from from you. It just moved. Okay. For compliance with all applicable laws and regulations. Rules and regulations.
So moved for both.
Need a
Okay.
second.
Second?
I second.
Okay. Darrell Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Honeywell, aye.
Postcode Chiporokalai.
All right.
That's the longest food permit motion since
Yeah,
I've started.
Ever. Okay. For the C&C ice cream, that's a temporary food permit also?
Yes, and it should also be approved conditional to receipt of the signature page of the application and receipt of the $50 permit fee from the Friends of the Sherborn Library.
Okay. Okay.
And just to provide some additional context, CNC Ice Cream already has submitted all of their licenses and appropriate paperwork for two other temporary permits in town. So we are only requiring that they submit the signature that attests that the information is accurate for their third permit,
Okay.
just for more context.
So then we don't need to have the $50 fee condition on there?
No, we're still waiting on that one. but the event is on the 15th of July,
Okay.
so
All right.
we have to approve it now.
Okay, so that does need to be a condition then?
Yes,
Okay,
sorry for
all
the
right.
confusion.
All right, then that one sounds like it should be separate from the other two, so I was gonna try and do a consent. But,
Wanderlust also has conditions, unfortunately.
okay, and it's, okay, here we go. All right, so do we have a motion to approve the temporary food establishment permit for C&C Ice Cream, conditional to receipt of a signed application and payment of the $50 fee and compliance with all applicable rules and regulations? And anything else?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Darrell Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Honeywell, aye.
Bose Kuchipurakala.
Okay, let's do Wanderlust. Hopefully the Little Miss will be the easiest one. All right. What
So,
do they still need to do?
so Wanderlust has done the library concert series several times before. We've worked with them. They're the last concert in the series. They are scheduled for July 15th, or sorry, July 22nd. Apologies, I got our meeting dates confused. And so we could wait and vote on this, but we have their application and their um, certificate of being a food, but we don't have any of their other paperwork. We do have their fee though, but we are missing a lot of their paperwork, their permits
Well,
and things of that
I'm
nature.
fine with doing a conditional because
Okay.
staff will do the job and it'll probably give them some comfort if say they submit it in the next week and yet then they're waiting until shortly before when they're scheduled to be there. So might
Okay.
just make it more relaxing for them. Okay.
I'm gonna just share
So
with you this list of things that or I'm gonna actually just drop. Are you able to read the chat?
yes.
Okay, I'm gonna just put this list of things that they have to submit still in the chat so that way you can just read off of it.
So do we have a motion to approve the temporary food permit for, sorry, I have to bounce back and forth between documents, for Wanderlust, conditional to a copy of the base of operations and commissary food permit, copy of a complete commissary agreement, certified food protection manager certificate, an allergen awareness certificate, a copy of Massachusetts hawkers and peddlers license, and a copy of the menu with consumer advisory language for raw, undercooked food and food allergen language. And conditional to compliance with all other rules and regulations.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Darrell Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Honeywell, aye.
Bose Kuchipurakala.
Okay, and Little Miss Bakery. Anything special that we need to note here?
Nope.
Oh, amazing. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the temporary food establishment permit for Little Miss Bakery, conditional to compliance with all other rules and regulations?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Darrell Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Honeywell, aye.
Bose Kuchipurakala.
Okay, last thing, I believe, meeting minutes.
Daryl, you skipped over chair's business.
I did.
Yeah.
Ooh.
The status update on consultant selection for Meadowbrook Commons.
Oh, okay. Um, so not a lot to update, but there are some consultants that the town has used in the past for various projects for the kinds of things that are a little more on the hydrogeologic side on behalf of the board, who I don't think would be necessarily more costly than going with the peer reviewer that the planning board is going to be using for other matters. The one place where, again, because some of our needs are just different than what a lot of firms do. And again, the town has experience with some of these consultants, and they have expertise on things like the general chemical situation, which if they're planning to use the wells at Meadowbrook Commons, for example, that might accelerate the rate at which those contaminants of general chemical, the ones that may be remaining post the remediation efforts that have been undertaken there, the speed with which those contaminants migrate into Sherborn. So that would be a pretty specialized thing that not a lot of folks could do, should we choose to pursue that. I do think that the stormwater is a big part of the project, and they are planning to follow state regulations for the project. And I think some of the concerns that the Board of Health has or might have are more narrow than the big picture that they're addressing, and might be appropriate to just have Tetra Tech do under what they're reviewing anyway. That would be the place I'd differ, but we're not really far enough along in examining the details of this project to make a decision on that just yet, because we're just at the beginning of this beginning phase. So I guess my update is that there are options out there that we could pursue, but I don't think we're ready yet. Happy to entertain questions, and certainly if anyone's interested in any particular angle on this project that you'd want to get involved with, and maybe be the liaison with a consultant if we hire one. Certainly think about that and let Julie or I know, or Sarah. Any questions about that at the moment? Okay. All right. Minutes. For me, I'll say I turned in edits to the May 6th minutes a while ago, and I wasn't around for the May 20th meeting. So I could either give a vote of support for the rest of the board's efforts or abstain on that. Does anyone else have edits that they wanted made to the minutes?
These are for the 20th,
And
right?
we'll do May 6th first, because that one we absolutely have to do tonight, or we'll be too late.
I'm sorry, Daryl. These are for the 20th, May 20th?
First, let's do May 6th, because that one must be done tonight, or we're not in compliance with open meeting law.
Okay.
So are we ready to vote out? And Sarah, have you received edits?
For the May 20th meeting minutes, or May 6th, sorry.
Or May 6th? May 6th.
None recently, no. None since the last meeting.
Okay. So hopefully that means you have my edits.
Yeah.
And they've been incorporated already. Okay, great. So I'm happy to vote. Is everybody else okay with voting on those?
Yes.
Well, I might have to abstain because I wasn't a member yet.
Yeah, okay. That's fine. All right. So do we have a motion to approve the minutes for, as edited for May 6th, 2026.
So moved.
I think the second falls on you more, Rebecca, this time, if you would like. All right, then Daryl Beardsley, I'll second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Daryl Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Did that come through? Rebecca Honeywell,
No. Rebecca Honeywell, what?
aye. Aye.
Okay. Thank you.
Bose Kachupurakkal abstain.
Okay. Next. Again, I was not present at the meeting, so I have not made an attempt to edit them. Did people get to submit edits that they desired to submit?
Not present at the meeting, so I can't, so I'm abstaining from that.
So we don't have a quorum.
Oh, okay. All right. So, Sarah, will this work for being on the next agenda?
Yes, but
Okay.
then
So
it
we'll
will
move that
be
one
the
to the next.
situation where we have to approve them at the next meeting.
Yes, and that's fine. But given that we don't have the 3 people who were at that meeting, I didn't realize it was only 3 people then too. So, okay.
It's okay.
All right. And then I did not have a chance to look at the June 3rd. That just
I
came
haven't
in.
received any edits because I did send them out pretty late, so I apologize on that.
Okay. So now we have things for the next agenda. Hopefully 155 Maple Street, an update on Silverwood Farms request for water use. Do we have any variance hearings?
I don't know of any at this point,
I
Darrell.
also don't know of any at this point.
We have a plan for
Okay.
97 Bullard, but they need to update it, and if they can get it back with the updates in time, then that is possible for the agenda.
Okay. And I guess that could go for, what was it, 41 hunting?
81 hunting.
81 hunting. No. Oh yes, 81 hunting, and then
Yeah. 41 Old Orchard, maybe.
yes, thank you. Yep, maybe. Also, we should, if new information comes out about Meadowbrook, including any information from Tetra Tech that they were going to try and put together some information about stormwater questions and concerns. That would be good.
Mm-hmm.
Can't think of anything else at the moment. But certainly if something comes to anyone's mind, always send something in to Sarah as a suggestion. The agenda.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So there are 2 things I want to talk about. It won't take too much time, but I need some input from all of you. The first thing is about bedrock disruption. Should we look deeper into it? And if you think we should, I found this person. She's a hydrogeologist, Jessica Meeks. I can share.
So
This
we
is
can't discuss too much of this now because it's not on the agenda and it's a topic of hot interest in town. But
right.
we
No,
can discuss logistics of adding it to either the next agenda or another future agenda.
right. I just wanted to get a
That's
quick
fine, yeah.
feedback, Daryl. Should we contact somebody like this who has experience with looking at all these things? And she was involved with the hop as well, groundwater issues in Maine and all that. She's a faculty, I think, or she works with the Maine Geological Survey at the moment. She might be someone who could help us, give us some direction.
Yeah,
Uh,
that would be
so
good because we've talked to other state departments
yeah,
who look at this, and frankly, no one yet has come up with something definitive. So it'd be
right,
nice to talk to someone in the field in case there have been new developments, because I haven't researched this in a
right.
year and a half, I'd say.
So I watched a lecture by her on YouTube, given to the community at Harp as well, and she was impressive. I really liked the way she approached the subject, and it seemed like she had the fund of knowledge to be able to give us some
Okay.
guidance. So that's one thing. The other thing is, I was at the Agriculture Commission meeting, which I'm a member of. Jonathan actually called the meeting, but then didn't show up. He's the chair. Everybody else showed up. But there were people from the planning board. Marion Neutra was there, I think planning or advisory or one of those commissions boards. And there's been this idea of starting a community farm, and I was talking to people on the Agriculture Commission and Marion, and she said the Barber Reservation would be a great place to have it. There's a barn that could be used and all that. We might need to put a fence and dig a well. Is there anything? And I was told that this has come up before. So is there any guidance I can get on this? It would be very helpful.
When you say community
Okay.
garden, do you mean I mean, Daryl, please stop me if this needs to be put on an agenda for open meeting, but for when you say community garden, do you mean a community, like a community share, like a CSA?
No, no,
Oh,
this
okay, never
is
mind then.
an allotment of a particular plot, maybe a 20 by 20, within a fenced area where, multiple people have these allotments, and they meet and they grow things and flowers, vegetables, whatever they want, and it's related to health because it engages people. It has a huge impact on the health and well-being of the people too. So I think it comes under the purview of the Board of Health in a broad sense.
Being totally in favor
So
of
that's,
having this be an agenda item at the next meeting. So that's a great idea.
yeah,
Okay.
yep,
Okay, sounds good. I'll
okay.
put both
Let's
of
do
those on
that.
the agenda.
And there are just for background there, I believe Concom has some oversight over the Barber. I know that they do a lot of management of invasive species there and other things, so they
Right.
might need to be involved. The Open
Yes.
Space Committee probably needs to
Yes.
be involved. And then if there was ever the need for water supply there,
We
I mean,
would
that
need
would
to
be a
dig a
very
well.
expensive proposition for a
Well,
community garden, but
so I did. I have friends from other towns that have community gardens, and there are government grants. We would need a grant of about 150, 200K to set up the fence, the well, and all kinds of other things. Uh, and yeah, so
It
there's
would probably be best to put on the next agenda though, just so we
yeah,
don't go too far
Hmm.
with it
right,
and break
right.
yeah.
the open meeting law.
So if you have
All
any
right.
thoughts, just send me an email saying, "Hey, yeah, this has come up. We've discussed this.
Oh,
Here's some
you can't
information."
actually, you can't be like a central point where everybody writes to you. That's an open
Everybody can
meeting law
write to me
violation.
though.
All
Yes.
right. Okay, so that's great. That's
Send me your thoughts and I will distribute them before the next meeting.
And you're
brilliant.
welcome to
Yeah,
send them to me, but it really, Sarah's the central person to grab all this
yeah.
information, and I'm sure
Okay,
she'll share it with me as well. Thank you.
Of
fantastic.
course.
Okay, great. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Darrell Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Ooh,
Rebecca Honeywell.
Labriut. Boskutch Burakalai.
Have a lovely evening, everyone.
Good night,
Good night.
everyone.
Night.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Bye.